Hi kids, this is your superpower kid, Neva Lee Recla. And today we're here with a very special guest, Joe Polish. We both met at the Fast Ink Network events, and he is a true genius. He is also the founder of Genius Network, and also he's the founder of Artists for Addicts. So, without further ado, will you help me welcome our guest, Joe Polish? Hi, Joe.
Hello, how are you, Neva?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Happy to be here with you.
Thank you. All right, so, and today we're talking about advice for young entrepreneurs with Joe Polish.
Yep.
So, Joe, what are your superpowers?
Well, I like connecting people. I like making people laugh. I like educating people. I do all kinds of things like connect people with books and ideas and things that will help them understand the world better, figure out how to be more effective, how to get people to do what you want them to do because they want to help you do what you want to do, that sort of things, So we all have things, like you included. You have things that you want and would make you happier and would help put a smile on your face. So if you can put smiles on other people's faces, then how do I do that? So I do that by connecting people and making jokes and giving them really useful stuff that makes them smarter.
That's awesome. And actually what I just realized is you and I have matching shirts.
Yes, we do. I tried to do this purposely. I tried to channel what you would be wearing today, and I just decided green would be it.
Actually, my shirt says, just be true, be you, or
awesome.
Vice versa. So I feel like we should do a superhero pose. Want to join in?
Sure. Let me.
I feel like all the folks at home should also do a superhero pose with us.
I feel very powerful right now, just by having done that. I mean, that was. There you go. And I got some snake eyes here that we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah.
That's awesome.
How well that shows up on the computer screen, but yep. Okay.
So actually, Joe, I'm thinking that when I make my first $1 million, that I'm going to buy a pet pig.
Yes.
And it's either going to be Hamlet or Piglet, but it's going to be Hamlet, like Chicharrones Recla. So yeah, that's what, it's going to be, a black and white pig. And I realized that when I make my first $1 million, that's going to be a lot. So that pig will get to feel like it's a real person. So.
Well, yeah, I got to show you something, Eva. This is so weird that you said that, a black and white pig, because I actually have a friend who gave me a black and white piggy bank years ago for my birthday, and it happens to be on the shelf above me.
Oh.
See, it says Joe's Cash Cow, okay?
Oh.
Right. Joe Polish, and it says Joe's Cash Cow right here. And it's black and white pig with a little bell on it, and it's and by the way, this is not a setup. You didn't tell me this beforehand. What would be the chances that you would say that you want a black and white pig when you make and I happen to have this right above me on a shelf?
We're just like the same person, I guess.
I mean, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is. So you have an event coming up in Scottsdale, don't you?
Yes, I do. In November, and I got all kinds of smart people. Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis and Randy Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg's sister, who created Facebook Live from Facebook. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, Trent Shelton, who's a famous football player who's now become a motivational speaker.
And I saw that Sean Stevenson is going to be as well.
Sean Stevenson's going to be there. Our friend JP Sears, who you've interviewed before, is going to be there. Damon John has been there twice already. So yeah, bunch of the people that you really like. But you're cooler than all those people, Neva. I mean, come on.
Thank you. Actually, my friend, my parents actually met Sean at our favorite Indian food restaurant.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's really cool.
Yeah, no, Sean is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Have you interviewed him yet?
No, but actually, I had a question. If you will introduce me to him so I can interview him.
Yes, it will be my pleasure.
Thank you. Um, so, all right, we have a couple more questions, and then we'll get to the break. So, something that I really want to mention to all of the guests and all of the people listening to the podcast is Joe helps a lot of amazing people. He helps Richard Branson. He helps with the foundation that Richard does. And that's really awesome. So thank you, Joe, for doing that.
You're welcome.
So what is your favorite thing to do?
Boy, what's my favorite thing to do? Well, I like doing a lot of yoga. I like hiking. I like reading. I like hanging out with people and sharing ideas. I like making a lot of jokes and laughing, because you can kind of gauge how the value of most relationships by how much you laugh together.
Yeah.
So I like laughing a lot, but I also like being serious, because the world consists of things that are fun and enjoyable, and the more that you can appreciate those things and participate in those things, the better. And life also has serious, hard, painful, difficult moments, and so laughter helps you get through those. And there's also times where you got to know when to be serious, and you got to know when to not be so serious. And so it's that's part of what life lessons are. But yeah, that's what I like doing.
One. All right. I had to remember what bothers me about the world there for a second. So I actually did a talk, and it was about let kids dream and like what sort of I don't really like about the world. So one of the things that I don't like about the world is there's criticism, there's a bunch of things like that, and I talked about that, and that was really important for me to get that out there. So, yeah.
Well, what's your solution?
And my solution is my book. And my solution is by writing my book about being a young entrepreneur and how adults can inspire kids to do business.
Yeah, and so how do you go about doing that?
You mean like my book?
Yeah.
I don't really get that question.
How are you inspiring kids?
Oh, how I am inspiring kids is just by being myself, doing my business, doing what I'm doing right now.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna get at, is what you're doing. What you're doing right now is a perfect example. You're just putting yourself out there, and you're doing something that's not always easy. And most people at 8 years old, they are not thinking about how to create a podcast and how to interview people and put it out into the world. So you're just by sharing knowledge, you're doing it.
Thank you. And thank you for sending me the birthday thing with Damon John.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
There's something I wanted to say. Oh yeah. So it's actually really cool that you're the best of friends with Richard Branson. I find that really cool.
Well, Richard has a ton of friends, so he has a lot of friends, but I certainly have been his biggest fundraiser. And there's been a lot of people that have done it with me. And I've interviewed Richard more than most people. I mean, I've got many, many hours of video with Richard Branson on Necker Island, and he just actually emailed me this morning. Because after the hurricane, Tony Robbins reached out to me and wanted me to see if I could arrange a trip to Richard Branson's island for all of Tony Robbins' clients. And so I reached out to Richard, and then the hurricane happened, and it's kind of messed up, you know, his island, the homes and everything. So he is trying to repair it. So he emailed me this morning and let me know that once he has a better idea of the damage of the hurricane, if they can actually arrange for Tony Robbins to come out on his island.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I actually saw a picture. Are you talking about the woman? I actually was I looked up something and it didn't even have to do with Richard Branson. And then a picture of him popped up of him flying over the water with a naked woman on his back.
He does things like that.
Yeah.
To get attention. It's strictly done to get attention. And I'm not sure that's always the best way to get attention, but I guess it depends on who you are. And he can kind of get away with things because he's a flamboyant billionaire.
Yeah. And she better hold on really tight because who knows what's in those waters.
Exactly. No, I've been in those waters, so it's relatively safe. But there could be a shark. There are sharks in there, but they're not that I'm aware of anyone getting bit close to.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That would not make for a very good day.
Yeah, it wouldn't. All right. I want to finish up. So actually, another thing to do with Richard. I watched his video while I was doing some follow-up. I was looking into you, and I saw a lot of videos to do with Richard. So I looked into him as well, and I saw his video of him dressing up as a woman, a flight attendant with makeup and heels and a short skirt.
Well, he owns Virgin Airlines is what he started. So he dressed up like one of the Virgin Airlines flight stewardess. And that's some of the stuff that he does. But, you know, I mean, I've got my interview with Richard. If anyone wants to watch that online like you did, all you need to do is type in my name and his name and they can find all those silly videos. But yes, Richard does a lot of crazy stuff. He jumps out of airplanes. He flies hot air balloons. He water skis. He swims. He bungee cord jumps. He does all kinds of pranks. He's a prankster, so he likes to mess with people.
That's awesome.
And he doesn't take himself too seriously, so which is always kind of a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I really like the video of the artist Radix. I really like that video.
Well, thank you. And that's something that I do with a guy named John Butcher, who owns a company called Precious Moments. He's the chairman of a company called Precious Moments that make these little figurines. Your parents probably are familiar with Precious Moments. I don't know if you would be, but they make these porcelain figurines. And so he's made our first art piece for Artists for Addicts. And we're using artists to help carry the message about treating people that struggle with addictions with compassion instead of judgment, because people that have addictions go through a lot of suffering. And instead of throwing these people in jail at times, we're better off to try to get to them before it becomes, you know, criminal, and help them with their traumas and their struggles. So we want to help people that struggle with addictions to reduce suffering and just hopefully get people to have more compassion about how we treat people with addictions. And this would also apply to any area of life. Someone that has mental illness. I mean, you know, the world would be far better if, like you were mentioning earlier about, you know, criticism. I don't know if we recorded that while we were talking earlier. But, you know, just if the world could just treat people with more compassion instead of punishment, I think the world would be a better place.
Yeah. And thank you so much for what you do. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, now it's time for the break. All right, so we've been talking with Joe Polish about advice for young entrepreneurs. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And we've been talking with Joe Polish about advice for young entrepreneurs. So, yeah, I had one question. So I have 2 more questions I want to ask you, and then I want to do a reading for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, first question is, if you could change anything about the world, what would it be?
If I could change anything about the world, I would probably, something I mentioned earlier, treat people with compassion so that there would be more people that were just compassionate, and then have more respect for entrepreneurs. So since you're saying advice for young entrepreneurs, you may have heard this, but if you haven't, the original definition of an entrepreneur came from a French guy in 1804, many, many years ago. And he said that an entrepreneur is an individual that takes resources from a lower level of productivity to a higher level. So in a simpler way, someone that just makes things at one level and makes it better. And that's what entrepreneurs do. And entrepreneurs provide jobs, they provide innovations, it was entrepreneurs that created the computers that me and you are using to look at each other right now, that other people are downloading podcasts on, that people are able to watch and hear things. All of these books that were, behind me, because I'm in a room right now that has over 2,000 books, and, advice for entrepreneurs, do some of the things that you are doing. Read and study and go to seminars and learn from other people and listen to podcasts and inspire other people. Well, entrepreneurs are the ones that do that for the world. And I think if I could change anything in the world, it would just be more respect and more appreciation for the people that do that. Because as you know, it's hard work. You got to learn a bunch of stuff that you don't know how to do, and you have to make it up and make it real. That's what entrepreneurs do. They make things up and then they make it real. And so if there was more respect for entrepreneurs, we would probably have a lot more human progress. Yeah, and also I would like to reduce suffering as much as I could. If I could change anything about the world, I would reduce unnecessary suffering, because some pain is actually useful. Like there's this great line, you don't want to handicap your kids by making their life too easy, meaning, there are certain things you just have to go through that are, your parents may not always, be there to fix everything. And, and even as an adult, there's a lot of stuff. Like I don't really like exercising, but I exercise every day. Why? Because I want to get the benefits of doing it. So I would, if I could change the world, I would remove unnecessary suffering, but there's certain things that people just have to go through that they're only going to learn if it's difficult and it requires effort. I hope that makes sense.
It does.
Share a
And
little bit of experiences you've had as a kid entrepreneur? Some of the maybe challenges?
I definitely agree with that, because there are some tough things in the world, and I've experienced some of those tough things. I've been criticized before from some of my businesses, such as Hot Clothes for Kids, where I did fashion reviews. A lot of people said you shouldn't use the word hot in a kid's business, and I just worked through that, and that's totally fine with me. And so some of the things I get criticized for is some people think that only being entrepreneurs for adults, and I'm okay with that criticism because it helps me keep on going. So
And
yeah.
that is a great mindset to have, because part of developing yourself as an entrepreneur or a musician or an athlete or a dancer or a singer, I mean, all of these things require the ability to work through difficult things and to practice. And so life is always going to throw hurdles in your way, and you can either get destroyed by them, or you can allow it to, throw you completely off course or put you in a bad mood, or you can say, you know what, all of these are just lessons. You never fail unless you fail to learn the lessons. And so life is always giving you failures. And the form of lessons, or lessons in the form of failures, however you want to look at it. And you will get rejected. Some people may not like you. They may not like your ideas. They may not like the way you work. You may have people that say things, but you got to remember that, you know, words are just words, except the meaning you attach to them. And so the more you know, as long as you're treating people well, as long as you're really trying to make progress, and the more progress you make, the more you're going to get criticized. But if you look at statues as an example, hardly any statues were ever erected for a critic, but everyone that's ever had a statue made of them was harshly criticized. So if you're going to be well known in the world, you're also going to be criticized along the way. And, you know, and that's okay. And there's two types of criticism, though. There's constructive criticism, where people are just maybe wanting to help you, that care about you and their intentions are good. And then there's people that are just jealous or envious, and you're doing something that they're not able to. So it's easier for them to make fun of you or criticize you than it is for them to do the things that you're doing. So you're doing stuff that most people your age would not be doing. And a lot of people, they're not happy about that, because it makes them realize that, wow, Neva's doing something that I'm not taking that risk. She's out there in the scary, so they might make fun of you, or they might say they don't like your hair or your face or your teeth or your clothes or the words you use. And as long as you're kind, as long as you're doing the very best you can, that's okay. Let people, you know, let people have their own, you know, thoughts. Just don't let it totally derail you. And also listen to when people say stuff and say, what can I learn from that? Even if their intentions are not to be helpful, you can always learn. Everyone has a purpose in life, Neva, even if it's to serve as a bad example.
Yeah, that is amazing advice. So we have one last question before we get on. So last question is, what advice do you have for kids or adults or both to help them with their superpowers?
Well, what I would say is identify what you're really good at and ask other people that really like you, what do they like about you? What is the value that you bring? What do they admire about you? And when you can hear other people explain, oh, you're really good at this, or the way you talk about this, or the way you're a certain friend, or the fact that you can, you know, play an instrument, or you can fix something, you know, try to identify those things that you're really good at and spend your time developing those strengths that you have. Yeah. And if you're really weak at something, but you can get better at it and make progress, then great, you can learn new things. But what I would recommend is don't spend a lot of your time trying to get good at things that you just can't stand, that you're no good at, and focus on your strengths. And hopefully this will make sense, but I have a friend named Dan Sullivan who says if you spend a lot of your life developing your weaknesses, at the end of your life you have a lot of really strong weaknesses. So you're better off focusing on what your strengths are and learn from the experiences of others. If you don't know what you're doing, watch videos from people that know what they're doing. Read books for people that are doing the things you want to do, and become a student and create your own school. Not just the school that you go to or attend, but your own school. Create your own school that makes you a better human being. And more than anything, learn to enjoy those things in life that are not all based around technology, meaning go out into nature, exercise, realize that if you can walk and run and you can interact with people, you'll develop more skills by interacting with real humans than staring at a phone or trying to get a bunch of people to like you on social media. I mean, those things may be interesting ways to enjoy stuff, but when I was a kid, before the internet existed, before smartphones existed, I would walk out into the fields by myself when I was 10 years old for hours with no way to reach anyone, no way to get a phone call, no way to look at a computer. I mean, I just out there. And I would encourage people to spend a lot of time learning how to not have to be constantly stimulated because then when you use technology, and as you get older, I mean, people your age, I mean, who knows if you'll ever drive a car, because there's like cars that will drive themselves in the future. So you might only drive a car if you want to drive a car, not that you will need to. And there will be virtual reality and artificial intelligence and all of these wild things that are fascinating in the world. However, what's even fascinating is being able to sit and just enjoy being alive, and down and reading a regular book that, you know, doesn't have to be on a screen. So that's my advice.
I really like that. And it's like when we went to Burning Man, there was pretty much no signal, so we couldn't contact anyone.
Yeah, what did you get out of Burning Man? What was your interpretation of that?
I really enjoyed it because it was basically a bunch of people just gathered, and everyone loved each other, and there was no criticism. People were who they wanted to be, no matter if there was people walking around naked, topless, whatever you can think of, it was there. And it was basically everyone came together as a family. Like, yeah.
No, I've been to Burning Man twice, and so yeah, I totally understand what you. Yeah, so it's a pretty interesting place, and it's hard to explain for someone that has never been there.
Yeah, you just need to go to experience it for yourself, is what my parents say.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So what you just said is go and experience life. You know, the internet. People used to go to the internet when it first started to escape life. Now people go to life to escape the internet.
Like that. All right. So, ready for your oracle reading?
I am ready.
All right. Let me do a little intro. All right. That's the intro. It's a little intro. All right. So, let's see here. Cards are out. I'm going to shuffle them.
All right.
There. All right. Maybe top 2 cards.
That sounds good.
All right. Ooh, I like these. So, well, I can't tell which order I pulled them in, but the first one is the Sacred Beetle. Is Sacred Beetle armor. You have a mighty shield.
My shield. Okay.
A mighty shield.
Mighty shield. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yep, that sounds like I got a little bit of that.
So here, I'll keep that out. And then I love this card. This is called Dragonly Garden. Dragonly Garden.
Okay.
A new world is born. That kind of looks like me.
Wow. Yeah, it does, except blue hair. Awesome. Drat. Well, here, did I show you this? This is sort of like my little Medusa.
So maybe I feel like the Sacred Beetle armor.
Yep.
Is basically like no matter where you go, your shield. You have a shield to guide you.
Awesome. No, you know what? That's probably a good thing to probably put as part of how I think about going out. And you know what? If you feel like you don't have a shield, it's good to be reminded that you do, because we all have the ability to go out and meet people and have friends and put up things and make ourselves smarter. So I appreciate the oracle reading. How long you been doing that?
Oh, like ever since my 6th birthday.
Wow.
Was it? No, ever since my 7th birthday. Yeah, I got this. I mean, yeah. I've had Oracle decks probably since I was 2. Huh.
Awesome.
I feel like the Dragon Garden is basically like those animals are your shield. So I feel like those are all come together.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ooh, I like this one. All right. Let me just make sure that's. Is your time still okay?
Yeah. I'm gonna do a video for you and Sean Stevenson to send it to Sean. You want me to do that live so you have that recorded? Here,
Sure.
You can just make this part of your podcast. Okay. Hello, Sean Stevenson. I'm here doing a podcast with Neva Lee Recla. She's 8 years old and she's awesome. You've
Hi,
met Sean before, right?
Yes. What was the question?
You met Sean before, didn't you?
My parents have. I haven't.
Okay. So
Yeah.
tell about your podcast so Sean can hear about it and see if he'll be a guest on it.
All right, so my podcast is called Superpower Kids Podcast, and I basically just do what I'm doing now, and I interview people to see who they are, what their superpowers are, and really see who they want to be in the world.
Yep. Awesome. So there you go. So I'm gonna introduce the both of you so that you can be a guest on her podcast and go from there. So thanks.
You.
Well, there you go. And see, then what I'll do is I will send that over to Sean, and he will probably love it. And then I will put your contact info.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's it.
All right. So,
Okay.
I forgot my glasses. All right. I'll use my hat. All right. Now it's time for Super Neva questions.
Okay.
And it's like a supernova, but better. You just have all the props right beside you.
Yes, I'm really good at this stuff.
Yes, you are. There's 8 questions, like I am 8, so let's do this.
Okay.
1, what's your favorite color?
Blue and pink. This is my wallet. So I have a Hello Kitty wallet.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so I like blue, but blue's my favorite color.
I like all shades of blue. All right, now, what's your favorite animal?
Probably a honey badger. Or a black panther. A black panther would probably be kind of cool.
What's a honey badger? What's a honey badger?
It's kind of a silly little creature that's kind of mean and vicious. Yeah. It's I don't even.
It has the term honey. Shouldn't that be cute?
Yeah, I guess it sounds cute, but they're really not that cute.
Oh.
It's like a big badgers.
All right. I like every single one. Same with color. Now, what's your favorite? Wait, what? What's your favorite superhero?
Well, probably Iron Man or Batman, and the reason is they are normal humans, but they have the ability to become more powerful through an outfit, a costume, things that help them like that. So that's probably why I think they're cool. I mean, you're kind of a superhero. Look at what you're doing.
Thank you. My 2 favorite superheroes are Wonder Woman and Supergirl. Supergirl.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I didn't think yours was like Incredible Hulk, although here, let me, hold on. I'm going to.
Oh, no. Oh, me.
Bam! Look at that.
I'm speechless.
Yeah. No, I do have, you'd be surprised at all the toys I have laying around here. It's kind of ridiculous.
Actually, I have something that I'm going to show you, so.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. I love it. I got this. Cool. All right.
Should we do our funny face time after this? Because we're still doing it. right, now where was I? All right, what is your favorite place? I'm fixing my wig.
Favorite place. I like going to the library.
It looks like you're at a library right now.
No, this is my building that I own in Arizona, so I have a whole bunch of books around here. I can kind of scan it and show you. So these are all my books and videos and all kinds of stuff.
Books.
Yeah, but I have 2,200 books in this room, and I've read over 1,000 books over the last 30 years. Yeah.
Right.
So you need to catch up, Neva. So make sure you try to read, a book every 2 weeks or so, even if it's a short book.
We've actually been reading Harry Potter.
Oh, good. Yeah, Harry Potter. Yeah, well written.
And we've also been reading Siddhartha.
Cool.
All right. What's your favorite holiday and why?
Favorite holiday? Probably my birthday. Isn't that a holiday? Let's see. Favorite holiday? I think New Year's is good. Because it just is a time for renewal, and it always reminds me that you can always start something and you can always let something go.
Huh? All right. I really like that.
Yeah.
So, if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, if I had the ability to reduce unnecessary suffering for people, kind of like what I'm trying to do with Artists for Addicts and people that are struggling with addiction, I would reduce unnecessary suffering. There's some suffering people are just going to have to go through because that's what it's part of life. Life is not always fun. And if life was fun all the time, you wouldn't know what it's like to not have fun. But at the same time, I would reduce unnecessary suffering. The other is when people are unhappy, like if they have a sad childhood, or if they have someone that they lost that was important to them. Like my mother passed away when I was 4 years old, so I grew up without a mom, and that was painful. But there were people in my life that cared about me and did the best they can. So I would probably want to give people a glimpse of happiness that don't have a lot of happiness, so they know that it's obtainable. Because if you can bring joy to people's lives and put a smile on their face, like for people that are young, I was always one of those people that would never make fun of people that had mental illness, or people that were learning disabled, or people that were disabled. And there's a lot of young people that can be mean. And so whenever you're seeing someone that's sitting alone eating lunch and they're shy, go up and talk to them. And so you don't even need to have a superpower in order to spread human kindness. You just simply need to be caring. And you also need to take care of yourself too. That you need to do both. And so I would give people a glimpse of happiness so that they know it's obtainable, because if you can inspire people and let them know that if you're lonely, someone can be your friend, and that just, so if I could do that to every person on the planet, if I had a superpower to do that, I would. So what I do is the best I can with what I got now.
I really like that. I really do.
Cool.
My superpowers would probably two, actually. Two. That's two. My superpowers would be invincibility and flight. So then, invisibility. Thank you, Mom. Because then I would be a champion of hide and go seek. I could go on our fan or something and just levitate over our fan, and no one would find me.
Exactly. And you could you could throw food at people and they wouldn't even know where it's coming from, and you could pretend you're a ghost and mess with people. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to that, I could see.
Yes.
What's your favorite color?
I like all shades of blue, but pretty much every color.
Wow. Okay. What about what is your favorite animal? That's what you asked me, right?
Everyone, even a honey badger.
I didn't realize I could answer like the zoo, or that I could say every animal on the planet. So
Ooh.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
What else you got for me?
Ooh.
Do you want, while you have him, since you're doing advice, do you want to ask him how to get your message out more? Maybe he has some marketing advice for that, and you can show other kids how to do it.
Yeah, you can speak up though. It's fine. All right. So my mom just told me. So now you have 9 questions to answer. So like, do you have any advice for me? So like, how I can get my brand out there?
Yeah. What I would do is I would keep doing what you're doing right now and get good at it. Okay. You're already really good at it. So keep doing it and get better, because in order to get things out there, you want to keep honing the skill. Just like if someone was to ask, how do I become a good musician and play guitar? Well, you play guitar on a regular basis. You practice all the time.
I actually play guitar.
Oh, perfect. So
Give me an example.
how long you been playing guitar?
Year.
Are you better at it? Are you better at it now than you were when you first started?
Yes.
Exactly. So keep doing these videos, keep recording these podcasts, and learn how to advertise. Learn how to go online. Learn how to tell people about it. Have people share it. Develop. Keep helping young entrepreneurs, and have the people that listen to this, like everyone that's watching this right now, ask them to share it with other people that are your age. Maybe go to the school that you're at and ask them to tell everyone through whatever channels of communication they have with teachers and with the school system to share it. And of course, be willing to go on TV and do interviews and all these stuff, because look, I mean, unless you just decide you want to quit doing this, you're going to become a very well-known person by what you're doing. And so, just keep at it, and just always try to associate with people that are doing good things.
Thank you. And actually, the superpower that you said you wanted to have, I think you already have it.
Well, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, last 2 questions.
Okay.
Thank you for that advice. All right. Now, what would you say if someone said that they didn't like something about you? That was really fast.
Well, I would question the source of who was saying it, because different people in my life hold different levels of respect and friendship. And I would also try to listen to the tone of voice and the intention behind it.
Yeah.
And I would, I don't take anything as truth unless there's legitimacy to it. And so I would just think about it. And, I would do my best to respond, not react, because a lot of people, what makes people angry is when they react, when they immediately, they don't think long enough. And some of that just comes with, having to go through many things many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I would just try not to criticize back.
Yeah. All right. This is something our listeners probably want to find out. Well, they wanted to find out all of that, but where can people go to find out more about you?
They can literally just type in my name, Joe Polish, like nail polish or shoe polish, into Google, and they can, just watch my videos or listen to my podcast or just follow me. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I've been putting out for many, many years. And I have a new book that'll be coming out next year called The Average Joe's Marketing Book. So if they wanted to get on the list, they can go to joesmarketingbook.com and they can put in their email. And when we're ready to release it, we'll let them know.
Awesome. Yeah, and people can also go to your event, correct?
Yeah. And although we are almost completely sold out of the event, but if they want to check that out, it's geniusnetworkevents.com.
All righty.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. So now it's time for funny face time, but I firstly have to get one thing for the funny face.
Okay. I'm trying to think what I'll be right back too.
You're just the same person, Joe. All right.
Are you ready?
I've had
Okay, so do 1, 2, 3.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Alrighty.
Yeah. Did that do it?
Yes, we did.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Here,
I'm gonna keep this on.
We gotta do another video here.
Oh,
Okay, here we
my
go.
mom's coming.
Another one. Hey, Joe Polish here, and I'm here. I just got done doing a podcast episode with Neva Lee Recla. And okay, do a commercial for your podcast again, Neva.
My podcast is called Superpower Kids Podcast, and that is where I find out who people are, what their superpowers are, and who they want to be in the world.
Exactly. And so she just interviewed me, and it's awesome. So check it out.
Thank you.
Make it a great day. See ya.
All right.
Okay.
So now it's time for, sadly, the ending.
Yes.
So, do you want to do the sign off with me?
Sure. Let me make sure I get this down. So, okay. All right. I think I remember.
All right.
I got it. We
All
can
right.
do it.
He has it. So, remember, kids, we all have superpowers, and we can change the world. All right. Bye-bye, Joe. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Neva. Thank you.